It is done.
Oh, and
Or
we're live.
started.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Thursday night live stream. Hang on, let me. Sound is on. I went like.
I wonder if I should move all my stuff over so I don't have to lean so far. Is that too close?
No, I think it's okay. We're gonna be fine. Welcome to the old Thursday Q&A live stream. We're gonna talk about hum canceling stuff tonight. That's gonna be in our conversation, as well as many other things. So here's how this works. Get in the chat thing over here and put a bunch of question marks in front of your question. That's very important. And ask a question. If you want to, if you want us to drop what we're doing and answer a question right away, you can use a super chat. If you can't get here in time, you can also go to Patreon and become a Patreon member, and you can ask a question there. And we will feature it on the screen here in just a few minutes. And then we are going to talk about guitar stuff for an hour, and then we are going to go off topic and talk about other off topicy things. And you can ask off topic questions for that as well on Patreon. But you can ask as many as you want right now, and we'll try to get to them. A couple things before we get started.
Why are we the wrong way again?
I don't know.
It's really disturbing.
Is it? Well, I'm sure we can change it. It's probably
just us. Like, is it just our view? Probably doesn't even affect them.
It doesn't matter. Yeah.
It matters to
But
me.
I'm sure we can mirror it or something in there, but I don't know how to. I don't want to screw with it right now. Okay. So a couple things before we get started. One is we had a request, actually, I think it was last week maybe, for our Cash App so that you could like bypass Big Brother Google and they don't take half of the money. So somebody actually did that. They Cash Apped us after the show last night. And I saw it on it was on a Penn podcast. And they're like, they have all the information right there on the screen. And I was like, that's really smart. So that's why that's there. You don't have to use it if you don't want, but you're welcome to. New cables. The Runway Audio cables. These are exclusive to Dylan Talks Tone. These are only available at Dylan Talks Tone, this particular colorway. And you can go there. You can order whatever features you want, whatever length you want, whatever. They come in this cool carbon gray with, it's kind of shiny and shimmery with red. And it's got my logo on one end and it's got their logo on the other. And he already shipped all of them.
Ooh.
Like 20 something.
I saw him on your page, like answering questions and stuff.
Yes.
Too.
And he's been in the community answering questions. So very cool. So get yours. These are fantastic. This is all I use for guitar cables. So get yours. They're available at Dylan Talks Tone, and there's also a link to them in the description. We have a couple of new t-shirts available. We have some pickups available in the pickup vault. There was one other thing I wanted to mention too, and that is the podcast that comes out on Tuesday. We try to upload to iTunes and all the podcast platforms. I don't know if you know that or not. So if you're an audio listener, you can listen to that stuff. And then speaking of Cash App last week.
Yeah, you want to talk about that now?
Yeah, let's just do it right now. Robert.
Mm-hmm. Go ahead.
This was in the off-topic hour, but we were discussing Legos.
Yes.
And you had Legos on your wish list on Amazon.
Yes.
And so Robert actually Cash Apped me money and said next to it, these are for Legos for Leslie. So I got the money from Robert. I ordered them from Amazon off of her wish list, and she has received them.
Legos. I didn't put them together yet.
No.
But they are here, and they are pretty. And
Yes.
I'm excited.
Yes.
And I'm grown.
Yes. But we wanted to show Robert that happened.
Yes. Thank you, Robert.
So, thank you. And yes. So very cool. All right. Let's get into our Patreon questions, shall we? We'll get into the first one, which is the title of the thumbnail.
So that is from Ryan. What are Okay, let's start that up.
Suggestions.
I was actually bothered by the font change. I don't know why, and I was like not paying
So
attention.
I was trying to fix that.
It's weird.
I wanted to talk to you about it afterwards. I want to pick a font that you think is
Ooh,
right.
okay,
So, yeah.
sounds good. Ryan, what are suggested? I cannot talk. Suggested options when contemplating how to get hum out when you have a humbucker in the bridge and a P90 in the neck.
Can you shield the guitar? That's a question I would ask. You can use a metal cover on your P90 and you can ground it. That can help.
I keep hearing something.
Just know that those things aren't going to make that much difference anyway. If you're using one of my P90s, it's not going to be that noisy. You know, and then there's a lot of stuff you can do in post, right? Afterwards. So, noise reduction on your pedal board and stuff. Shielding works, but it doesn't make everything very silent. It doesn't make it silent. The problem with doing a humbucker and a single coil together, which there's no problem with doing it, but there can be kind of a jarring switch between the two. The other thing is you might want to think about what capacitor and what tone caps you have, what tone pots you have in your guitar, because you might be able to get rid of some of the hiss by a tone pot adjustment, depending on what cap it is. So that could be a thing too. If you all have questions, and this is kind of what I want to do with these, if you have questions about shielding, about getting your guitar quiet, put them in the comments with a bunch of question marks in front of them, or use a super chat and we'll try to get to them along with these other things. I would also make sure that your cable is good, and I would also make sure that the rest of your rig is quiet, that your pedal board is quiet. Everything that you add on your pedal board and all that stuff after it is just going to exacerbate the problem. And yeah, those are probably the big things. Honestly, a lot of the noise comes from other stuff more than it comes from the pickups. I know that people have a hard time trying to believe that. Don't do any stupid star grounding or any of that kind of crap. Just make sure. And people say, well, I don't have a good ground. Yes, you do. Otherwise, it wouldn't work. If your pickup's not grounded, it's not going to work. If your volume pot's not grounded, it's not going to work. If your output jack is not grounded, your guitar is going to be dead. So there is no such thing as good ground versus bad ground. As long as your solder joints are decent, you can have bad solder joints that will add a bunch of resistance and then you will have a bad ground. But most of the time, if it is a well-constructed guitar, bad grounds aren't a thing. My guitar is noisy. I must have a bad ground. No, you don't. You have a noisy guitar and you have a noisy environment. And look at your environment around you too. If you have big fluorescent lights next to you, if you have an air compressor, a refrigerator, anything that's given off electromagnetic interference, that's what's causing it. Because that noise comes over the air. It doesn't come through the mains. It comes over the air. So look at your environment, how quiet your environment is. Are you really right next to a laptop or a power supply and a big computer, like that kind of stuff?
Super chat from G Money.
Hey,
He says,
G.
great topic. Any suggestions when there's a ton of electromagnetic interference coming from outside one's home? Even my humbuckers are noisy.
Wow.
I feel like this came up before. Was Vinny? We were talking about air conditioners, and this has come up before. So,
yeah.
do you know where it's coming from?
That's so. If you have bad electricity, sometimes if your house is not grounded properly, we talk about bad grounds just now, but if your house is not grounded properly, sometimes you can have noise in your home, but you'll see that in a lot of different areas. And get that fixed because that'll burn up our refrigerator, as it pulls current. What else? We live right next to a
Doug Seidlet says move.
exactly. We live right next to a. You can take that down if you want.
Mm-hmm.
Since it's on our
Thank you,
faces.
G Money.
Yeah, thank you for the super chat. We live right next to a communications base, and her dad used to own this house, and I remember even when I first moved here, he was having problems with his garage door opener. It wouldn't work because the radio interference from the base, and everybody in the neighborhood had to put like boosters on their garage door opener to get it to work right.
Yeah, I mean, it's like less than a mile away.
Yeah, it's like right there. So we don't have that problem anymore. But because they've changed technology's moved on and stuff. But I would really look at the power in your house. My guess is you don't have much coming over the air, and if you have that much coming over the air, you're gonna have cancer. I'm not a doctor or anything, but that's bad. So if chances are in your situation, it might actually be coming through the mains with a bad ground on your house. That's the first place I would look. Rule that out, then move.
Wow. All right, Matt. Good evening. I forgot to even ask, but I have your Enduro in the neck of my Gibson SG, and bridge is Gibson 490 HB. Am I in phase in the middle position?
Only you can know that, and only you can prevent forest fires. When you put it in the middle,
If it sounds like this and it's really weak,
then it's out of phase. And if it sounds normal middle position, then it is not out of phase. That's how you know.
I feel like we should cut that clip out and use it for something else.
Maybe I will.
It's hilarious. Sarge, R.I.P. Steve Albini.
He's mentioned that on Patreon too, and I don't know who that is. I meant to look it up.
Well, we should look it up.
All right, well, let's look it up.
I'll look it up while you do the next one.
Okay.
Sarge, maybe a stupid question, but can you explain the differences in wahs and why there's so many to choose from? I understand why there's a million distortion pedals and how they're all distortions, but have so many differences. And maybe I'm just an idiot, but wah seems a lot more straightforward, so I don't understand it. Is it all just tiny nuances in depth of the wah, for lack of a better wording, or are they truly all significantly different? Any personal recommendations? And if so, why?
You can take that down if you want, because it's so long. Interesting question. You are talking to someone who has gone way down the wah rabbit hole, because I was actually just looking at that yesterday, because when I was painting those cabinets in the garage, I took the doors off, and my prototype wahs are sitting in there. So I designed from scratch a wah probably 10 years ago. I never did anything with it because they're really expensive to make.
Big Black and Shellac is who he played for.
Mm-hmm.
But he was the founder, owner, and principal engineer at Electrical Audio, which is where Nirvana, Pixies, The Breeders, PJ Harvey, Jesus Lizard, Jimmy Page, and Robert Plant were
Recorded and produced. Yep.
So that's pretty significant. Thanks for sharing, Sarge.
It is cool.
It's
We
not
got
cool.
super chats?
It's not cool.
No, it's not cool, but thank you for...
Yes.
Okay, go.
Super chat from Tony Leonardi. Thank you for the super chat, Tony. He said, "Good evening, Leslie and Dylan. I hear radio stations from my tube amp, and it's annoying. Ideas?"
Yeah, you probably need to... That might be caps. There's some stuff in there that once it goes microphonic, it causes a problem. But I don't know about amps as much. So do I need to...
Yep. Keith H. coming at us with an off-topic question during guitar hour, but it was super chat, so thanks, Keith H. He said, if you change color cartridge on fountain pens, can you keep the used cartridge or throw it out because it's been used?
I rinse them out and keep them, because sometimes I'll refill them and put them in something else for example, if you have a cartridge only pen like a Kaweco Sport or a Franklin Christoph 45 that you don't want an ink dropper, then you can refill that cartridge and use it in a shorter pen. Okay, so let's talk about this wah thing. So wah is interesting. Have you ever heard red phasal, yellow phasal inductor? Have you ever heard those terms? So the way a wah works, it's sort of like an envelope filter that you can manually manage. But the way it does it is there's a coil in there that, like, I mean, I could wind them if I wanted to, but it's just not worth doing. It's like it's a coil, and there are different inductances. They call them inductors. There's different inductances of those coils, just like a guitar pickup, and that affects everything. Then there's a little amp in there, and you can use different resistors and different capacitors to adjust how much the sweep is. You can adjust, when it gets real thin and high frequency and then real low frequency, you can adjust how wide, they call it the Q. You can adjust how wide that is. So like how far it was and where it starts, like what frequency it starts wahing at and what frequency it finishes wahing at, like with it when it toe is down. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. It's so cool. I love playing with that stuff. The one I designed was based on a Stevie Ray song where he uses two put together with a 2x4 in the middle, and he cascades them. So I put two full wah circuits in the same enclosure with an AV switch. So you could go wah A, which was like a vintage Crybaby, and then the other one was like a vintage Vox, two different circuits, and then you could put them in series with each other, and it was just off the chain cool. But it was very difficult. I talked to a few people, big pedal builders too, and they're like, man, this is just so expensive to make. But I think it's maybe now with digital things the way they are, it could be something. But yeah, it was pretty awesome. Anyway, so that was so yeah, there's all kinds of stuff to play with. What I would do is go and experiment. Slash's wah is really good. Some of the signature wahs are actually really good in comparison to like the normal Dunlop GCB 95 that everybody has. Like I have a normal GCB 95. I would personally, Jerry Cantrell's wah is really good. Who else? Jerry Cantrell's and Slash's both. I really like both of those. So there's a couple suggestions. I could nerd out about wahs for a while, actually.
Joshua,
They probably didn't know that either.
favorite song to play when trying out a Strat? Mine is Funk number 49.
Usually some sort of rhythm over lead over rhythm, Stevie Ray sort of thing, typically.
Patrick, Dylan, with your new laser machine, can it make a transparent control backplate for a guitar?
Sure. Yep.
Why do I have a screenshot? Do I need it?
Nope.
Oh, that's what's up.
Nope.
No, what is that? Don't use it?
Don't use it. That's for something else.
Okay, we're all caught up then
Okay.
to the after hours stuff.
Cool. So will you keep those for off topic, and then we'll just start going through the questions?
Sure. Before I flip over, it's on the screen. It's not really a question, but BC Rich has a good point. BC Rich 581 says, I've had a lot of success at a home built in the 30s by putting in GFCI plugs all over the house. All right. Flipping over.
You can do a lot of experimenting with ground lifting, but I don't know. I don't want to tell you wrong on that because I don't want you to die.
Don't die. Rusty Shackelford. I asked Tuesday whether out of phase was different, whether it was caused by magnet or coil wind. You said it has to be both, which is RWRP, which cancels hum, not out of phase. So does cause make a difference?
I did misspeak. Now that you say that, I remember saying that, and I am totally misled you. So, it does not make a difference either way. There will be some guide somewhere that will tell you it will, but
Apparently that guy was you.
for all intents and purposes, for us who are normal people, no, it will not make a difference.
Tom F. Do P90s hum more than regular single coils with medium gain?
Not mine.
Vox Guitars Rock. Hey everyone. Dylan, I really enjoyed your video about the fountain pen case. Awesome stuff.
Thank you.
Ron Tidwell, maybe. Sorry. How do wines and magnets affect tones, bass, etc.?
That's a pretty wide open question, but basically, every pickup has a frequency that it makes the easiest and the best. The technical term for that is the resonant peak of that pickup. After a fashion. And you can move that around with the strength of the magnet, the shape of the coil, and the diameter of the wire. And all of those things push and pull on each other. So there's no real, I can't tell you if you do this more, it's going to make it always bassier or always more treble or whatever. Because it's literally like it's like a diagram that's kind of like pushing and pulling on all of its, everything's kind of, if I move this, if I move this, then this is going to move. And I move this, this is going to move. It's like, it's all sort of, yeah, right. It's all sort of connected. And so there's no answer for that, really. Some people say, okay, well, taller pickups have more clarity and shorter pickups have less clarity. But that's not true if you've ever played a Jazzmaster. It's only 1/8 of an inch tall. And it sounds different than a P90, which has different kind of magnets, same winds, same shape of the coil, but the coil is taller because it's taller. So, those kind of things, you can't make those judgments because everything is a variable. And I know that's a non-answer, but it is really the truth and how the science works of it.
BC Rich 581. Dylan, ever considered doing an active pickup arrangement for guitar or bass?
No. I did build a bass for a guy and we put a preamp in it, but I won't take the time to design a set of pickups around it or any of that kind of junk.
Jerry J. Stone says, am I overkill if I copper shield everything?
No, you are not. Except don't shield anything that will come in contact with the wiring in the guitar. I get a lot. I had it this week. I'm doing this and I shielded everything and now this isn't working. And I'm like, take it out and start over because something will touch. There are certain things that are overkill. If you shield the little tube where the output jack for the Telecaster goes, that's overkill. If you shield the control cavity on a Telecaster, that's overkill. If you shield the bottom of the control cavity on a Stratocaster, that's overkill. Just do the pick guard. Some of that stuff is just Faraday cages don't work in guitars like people say they do, because the wavelength of 60 hertz is so long and et cetera, et cetera. There's a bunch of science behind it. We could get super nerdy about it. But the bottom line is shield the back of your pickguard if you can. Otherwise, play humbuckers. I mean, really.
Jason Albert says, I will say for a fact that your P90s really don't hum. My house was built in 59 and all the outside outlets in the house are on one fuse. Awesome pickup.
Thank you. I
Sounds
figured out
scary.
yesterday that I can run the air conditioner in the garage and the laser. I can run the air conditioner and the vacuum shop vac. I can run the laser and the shop vac, but I cannot run the shop vac, the laser, and the air conditioner. Right in the middle of a job. I had to start over. And then, I didn't tell you this, and then I started over. I reloaded the entire file, which was a big one because it was super intricate, the thing we were doing. It gets 2/3 of the way loaded, and then it's like the little baby hard drive on the laser because it has a little
Full?
it was full. So it stopped, and then I had to like empty the cache on the laser and then start it all over again. So it took me like 3 tries to finally get that done.
Nice.
Yeah.
T-Bone says, "Hey, Dylan and Leslie. Dylan, what is the reason guitars go on sale? Is it overstock? Last year's PRS dropped the SESS to $650.
They did that last year too. Probably just new models coming out. I don't know the answer really, except that there's too many guitars. We've done a podcast on this a little. We talked about this a bunch, and foreign guitars especially. Believe it or not, this is just kind of weird, but most of these foreign made guitars, when I say foreign, I mean Asian, Indonesian. Okay, so the stuff that says made in Indonesia, the stuff that says made in China, and the stuff that says made in Japan, like Fender or like the Fujijin factory. And so all those factories make guitars for lots of different companies, right? So your Kramer can be coming out of the same factory as, say, a Schecter, for example. And I can't remember if that's exactly true, but you understand my meaning, that a lot of these factories make more than one brand of guitar. And so when Fender or when PRS less so because they have a little more control, but when they say, make me 1,000 guitars and they only sell 500 of them, if they say, okay, slow down on production, then somebody else gets that production slot, and it's very hard for that guitar brand to get that production slot back. So when they want to ramp up for more guitars again, they've lost their production slot in that factory because it went to a different brand because somebody else is waiting in the wings to build their guitars. So what happens sometimes, and this happened with Squier last year, is Fender couldn't slow their Squier production down. They'd already bought them all. They were already coming over on the boat, actually. And when Guitar Center backed out on that big order, they were stuck with all these guitars. And then, of course, as a result, their inventory was way too high in proportion to their payroll, and their bank told them that they had to lay people off. That's basically what happened. That's why they laid off 300 people. So this is all long way around of saying sometimes there ends up being too many guitars for a particular time of year based on economy and all kinds of other stuff that none of us really have control over. But they don't want to give up those slots. So they'll just put them on sale. They'd rather do that than lose the production space.
I don't know what this means, but I don't want to lose it. Stupid Guitar says that's not true of PRS Core Tech, Dylan.
So that's why I said PRS has a little bit more control. Not total control, but a little bit more. So Cortec is Cort. And PRS has their own. They do not own the factory. It's a Cort factory. However, they have a dedicated spot in Cort at Cortec in Indonesia where all of their guitars are made. And so they do have a little more control over that. However, they are still bound to that production space. They have still committed to that production space. I I don't know this, but I do know this for a lot of other industries, that when I go, if I were to go to Cortec and say, okay, there's 500,000 square feet of your factory, I want it just for me. Cortec isn't just going to go like, okay, yeah, no problem. They're going to say, all right, so for the next 10 years, are you going to guarantee us that we are going to make this many guitars for you? And they will have to commit to a certain amount of production in order to still, so it still matters. Yes, it's not as fluid, I guess, as like some of the Squire factories and some of the Chinese factories. You're right about that. However, there is still that commitment, because otherwise Cortec wouldn't dedicate a huge factory to one brand unless they were able to commit to a certain production number. So it's still kind of the same, but like that's why I said it that way. They do have a little more control over that. It's not absolute though. Thanks for bringing that up though, because you are kind of right.
Ted Chuck. Let me know if that was right. Chuck, I think. How do you maintain tension when winding? Is there a readout on the winder, or is it experience?
It's experience. When there's a video, I just did it. Maybe I'll do another one. I'll do another one next week. You know what? I'll do another one next week. Who cares? I'll do another one next week. I'll show you. I'll just show you how I do it. We'll do it with the Mojo Tone Winder, and I'll show you how we do it. But it is experience. Yes. It's understanding what the wire feels like going through your hands. It's a certain distance. It's a certain break angle over the spindle. But I can show you all that. I'll just show you. It's anybody who's ever taken one of our workshops and I've showed them how to wind pickups, this is what they learn, is where to put your hand, how to hold it, that sort of thing, and maintain that tension. Now, some of it is feel, and you're not going to get it right the first time. You may be successful getting a pickup wound, but to get that consistent over thousands of them, it just takes doing thousands of them. But the basic action, I can teach you in about a half hour.
I said it wrong. His name is Ted Chuck.
Chuck, I was thinking.
Well, why don't you tell me?
Because you had already said it, and I figured you were going to wait.
I'm willing to be corrected. All right. Sorry, Ted. Mike Jones. Hey, Dylan. I took my Fender Mustang Micro, the headphone amp, to the beach. No 60 cycle hum because there's no source of 60 hertz. I'm going to take my laptop and interface next to see if my noisy plugins sound better.
Hey, man, that's cool. That's a great idea. That's a great idea.
Vox Guitars Rock says, what wah does Kirk Hammett use?
It's some Dunlop modded thing. I can't remember. I don't know what the specifics are, obviously, but yeah.
F. Stathio says, have you ever used something like Morley's Humno? People on the interwebs seem to think it cancels 60 cycle hum pretty well.
I have not. I've tried that stuff. You know, most of this new digital stuff has really good gates in it. And it's the digital gates, like in a Kemper or in a whatever, are way faster than any of that analog stuff. So it doesn't feel like you're hitting a thing and then it goes away, and or you know, like the digital stuff's way faster. So I just use that if I want, but I don't use it. I actually turned all the gates off. I want to hear the noise, because I think you can feel the guitar better and you can understand what's going on with the guitar if you can hear the noise. I like the noise. And I understand some people don't, like, you know, if they're playing in church or if they're playing in a studio in a certain situation, I get why you would not. But when I'm playing guitar, I want to hear everything, and I don't want to sacrifice anything for the sake of just having a little less hum.
Box Guitars Rock says, if noise is a big deal in your practice location, would it be worthwhile to get a power conditioner?
Yes, it would. You know what I was just thinking too? It would be interesting. It would be interesting to, I might do this video. I have 3 different types of power at my disposal.
Mm-hmm.
So we could do a video where we take the same setup and we plug it in the house with a bunch of stuff around, noisy. And then we plug it into the van, which is lithium batteries and solar. Or we plug it into the Blue Eddy power station, because we have a Blue Eddy power station. And just see if there's a difference in noise between. And I think I've got a cheap guitar or 2 that I could use that has cheap pickups in it that we could, to like exaggerate it, I guess. Yeah, that might be an interesting video. Changing the type of power. Oh, and we also have a UPS. We have an isolated UPS.
What does that do? Put
That isolates the power because it goes through a transformer. It isolates the power from the source, if that makes sense. There's a gap between them.
Mm-hmm.
Got a couple of options, a few options. That might be kind of interesting. Gonna write that down.
Draw for real says, how much can I reduce on a Telecaster using shielding tape?
So here's what I do with Telecasters. Shield the entire back of the pickguard. Make sure that you use shielding tape that has conductive glue. In a lot of our videos about this, there will be a link in the description, some cheap stuff you can get on Amazon that works awesome. And then what I do is I shield the back of the pickguard, and then I take the control cavity out, the control plate out, and I take one piece of tape that goes from under the pickguard over the screw hole and down into the control cavity. What this does is when you screw the control plate back on, this will connect the shielding in the pickguard to the control plate, which is grounded out to the output jack, and you will have one continuous circuit shield ground from the whole pickguard on through your controls and out to your output jack. That would be the optimal for a Telecaster.
Epstathios, regarding what you just talked about, usually pure sine wave UPSs provide isolated power on every port, not much different than isolated pedal board power supplies, just 120 volts instead of 9 volt.
That's what I was thinking. And that's why I thought that might be kind of cool. Yeah, because I have a 3,000 watt pure sine wave inverter in my van with 400 watts of solar and 200 amp hours of lithium. And then I also have, I can't remember how big it is. I think it's 1,500 watts, a Blue Eddy power station that we keep in the car with a solar panel. And that thing works. We use that to, people are like, you are so excessive. Or what are you, some kind of weirdo prepper? But we have a Dometic refrigerator in our car because why not? It's the coolest thing ever. to not have to like go to the grocery store last on your way home. And so that's how I power it, is with that little battery, and it's awesome.
And sometimes even if you're just going to the grocery store, because it can be 100 degrees here. And
yeah, for sure. Your ice cream can be very soft by the time you get home, depending on traffic.
God given. Hello, Leslie and Dylan. Do you think I can play with a drummer with the Boss Next Tone 40, or should I buy the Katana 100 instead? Does the tube amp playing feel different from the next tone?
I like the next tone better than the Boss Katana, and I think the 40 would probably be enough. I used to have one. It's pretty good. Yeah, it'll probably be all right.
Rick Nelson, when you started winding, how did you establish a quote good baseline to work from? Are there any recurring ratios between LRC that pay off big? The pickups I measure don't seem wildly different. That's good.
I used, if you just Google vintage Fender pickup specs or vintage Gibson pickup specs, there's a couple of old school websites. They look like, what's the old that everybody?
DOS?
No. What's the old, not American, not the one that came on the CD, but like, the old websites. Remember they're like
Netscape?
maybe like
Not
that old.
AOL.
Maybe that old. Anyway, these kind of old websites, but they had, I remember, I probably could still find them.
Those websites were always accessible, by the way.
Were they? And they had like tables of like, in this year, the strats were made this way. And I started with those measurements and then compensated from there. So I kind of just stole them from Fender stuff. And then as I decided that I wanted to change them and be like, I don't want it to sound like that. I want it to do this instead. And then, of course, your hands, when you're winding, you establish a sound based on how you wind and then have to compensate from there too. So
Yeah, and consistency is usually hardest. So if he's getting things that are pretty close together.
no, I think he's measuring piles of pickups.
I just mean he's probably already getting some consistency down. Like,
Yeah, consistency is the hardest thing.
yeah.
Wind 10 of exactly the same thing over and over and over and measure them all and see if you can get it exactly the same. If you like that or don't like that, then start changing from there. But get consistent first.
Stupid Guitar says, how do I stop myself humming this annoying earworm song? You listen to another one.
Yeah. It's bad song karma. Chances are the song was half over when you got home.
Now it's stuck in your
And
head.
now it's stuck in your head. That's bad song karma.
Or somebody spits out like a few lyrics and then that song gets stuck
Yeah,
in your head.
like
'cause
around the
it's-
outside, or
No,
something
like
that.
I still got when I move, you move in my head still.
Yep. I got Up in Here by DMX stuck in my head the other day.
Did you?
Yep.
Do you say it with the like up in here?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you gotta say
You
it.
got to say it right. All right.
Yeah.
As long as you say it right. Jerry J. Stone. What do you think of the Sam Ash closing? Do you think the prediction that boutique makers will rise and mass production will decline?
No, I don't. I think, well, I guess there's a couple of sides to this. Sam Ash, if they don't want to do it anymore, they don't want to do it anymore. It might not be just a business decision. It might be a bunch of personal decisions put together with, Sammy Ash died a couple months ago or a little while ago. And, maybe his family's like, you know what? I want to go sell real estate. It's easier than doing this crap. Like, because it is. I mean, so it's possible that there's more than one factor. It's probable that there's more than one factor going into that decision than just the big box stores going out of business or the whatever. As far as boutique builders go, it has been my experience over the years that boutique builders aren't very good businessmen. And so I don't see, it's very few and far between you get a boutique builder who can truly make it into a thing that actually works. Doug Cower is somebody that I think of. He's building $5,000 guitars and he's building them as fast as he can. And he's selling every one of them. Anthony is another one at
Lucky Dog.
Lucky Dog Guitars, who's another one. extremely boutique, extremely unique guitars. They're Tellies, but they're very unique. Nobody's doing anything like he's doing. But he is, I mean, I think he's feeding like 15 people now. Like he's got a whole crew going, between him and his workers and their families. Like he's got a bunch of people he's supporting now, but he sees the business in it. And I've worked with, I cannot count the amount of boutique builders who have bought pickups from me 2 times, 3 times, 5 times, and then I never hear from them again because they don't have what it takes to run a business. Like, there's running a business and then there's wanting to build a guitar. That's 2 different things. And you have to be able to have both. And I don't think people really talk crap about Fender and Gibson and big business and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but the skill in running a business is a thing. Like you have to know how to do that. Yeah. I spend more time thinking about running my business than I think about how many wines go on a pickup. Like, we make good products. It's a matter of running the business to make sure that it happens. That's the most important part. And I know that sucks, but it's true. So the balance is figuring out, keeping the passion in it and all of the creativity and the boutiqueness of it and the fun of that, but also having the business acumen to be able to stay alive. That's it. So no, boutique builders aren't going to rise up and take over. Fender and Gibson are going to be fine.
Chris Anderson, why does my Les Paul make less noise when under heavy distortion when I touch the bridge? Do I need to fix something?
Because it's not a Paul.
Wow.
Okay, so less noise when you touch the bridge.
Less noise under heavy distortion when I touch the bridge.
Then it means that it should be less when you touch the strings because the strings are touching the bridge. That's how it works. Yeah. Guitars make noise when you don't touch the strings, and they make less noise when you touch it. When you touch the metal on the guitar, it should get quieter. When you let go, it should make more.
No touchy.
No touchy.
All right. Answer that. Jason Albert said, watching you explain winding pickups while doing a wind would be awesome. I used to wind transformer coils, many small and medium coils, like the transformer coils in an amp.
Oh, wow. That's neat. So I've never done that. I've never done anything but pickups. I've done a couple other things.
You did some for Jimmy one time, right?
No, I did something for Seth, the guy that used to work for me.
Yeah.
I redid some remote transformers.
That's right.
Yeah, I did some stuff, but I've only ever used really small gauge wire, right? So like transformers are bigger, normally. I've had people ask me to like repair tattoo machine coils.
Oh, I didn't know they had coils.
But they're so cheap, and most of the coilless, they just go into a coilless system now. So,
But can you get a free tattoo?
not from the people that wanted me to do it. I wouldn't have.
Makes sense.
I wouldn't have paid tattoos for those people.
Wow. All right. David Girala, I'm sorry. My head rush has a noise filter. Do you know how TF that works?
It's probably digital. It's probably a digital gate. Or it's probably a digital filter. Yeah, 2 different ways of doing it, but yeah. Filter would filter out frequencies. A gate will shut something off below a particular output. Like, for example, I have a noise gate on my mixer over here for this podcast. So if I were to stop talking or go really, really low, it should, like if it goes quiet, you might actually hear a quieter kind of click down. And then when I talk again, it pops back on. That's a gate. Um, so yeah, there's a couple different ways to do it.
Sunbase. I know you mentioned using shielding tape. What's your opinion on shielding paint? I find tape easier to use and the paint messy.
The paint is messy. It's not correct. It's not as easy to use. And it has been my experience that it loses its conductive value over time. I've found that to be true. Have I tested it enough to like conclusively say it on the internet? Probably not, but I personally don't like it. I think it's less reliable.
Does Runway Audio make microphone cables?
I've spoken with him about this a couple of times, and we keep forgetting to discuss it some more. I would like them to say Runway
Yeah,
Audio
because it would
right
look
here.
really nice.
And I told him to make me a sticker
Yeah.
that says Runway Audio right here on the back of the mic to cover up the Rode one. Because Rode never gave me anything or supported my business in any way.
Yeah, so we just need to put stickers on stuff
Yeah.
or black it out. Not sponsored. Ted Onizchuk. Is that right? Onizchuk.
It's closer.
What is it?
No, I think that's right.
Can you vary the tension intentionally to deliberately change the sound, deliberately and consistently?
Yes, you can. It's amazing how much a few grams makes. So since I've had this CNC winder, I've actually gotten to measure it. Like I've never really measured it that much. Like I've never had a way to measure it. I know how hard and I know I'm between 15 and 25 grams somewhere. But if you push that up to 30 grams, man, you'll almost break it, but you can do it. You can really put a lot of tension on there if you know what you're doing and can do it consistently.
It makes your finger hot, though.
It does make your finger hot. But I know how many grams I wind at and what I like.
Really?
Yeah, now that I've been able to actually measure it, that thing's been very helpful in telling me how consistent I am and what I need, what I'm feeling. Like putting numbers on what I'm feeling all the, I figured it out a couple months ago that I've wound over 10,000 pickups, right? So like I know what I'm doing pretty automatically. Like I can go in there and just do it and I don't think about it. I can like watch YouTube and wind a pickup and it'll be the same every time. But I've never been able to actually assign numeric values to certain things so that I can understand, like really take my understanding of even what I'm doing and what I have established to the next level. And it's been very handy, like to be able to document that stuff. It's been very handy for me. Yeah. People think we're just making pickups with machines now. And it's kind of the opposite. Like I've been able to make my hand wound stuff better because of it. Yeah.
Oh, because just awareness and tracking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And actually,
because you don't have to wait until the end to know the result now.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Right. I can monitor the entire process to the gram.
Yeah. Through
the entire winding process and be like, okay, this is where my inconsistencies are. This is where I want to put some inconsistencies and literally watch that whole thing happen. And then be able to record it and look at it and go, oh, wow, it's really cool. It's been very good for me. I've really enjoyed using that thing.
Evstathios says Runway Audio cables offer lifetime warranty on the regular plugs, but only 2-year warranty on the silent ones. Do you think the silent plugs will eventually fail? And if so, how?
They are inherently less reliable than a not silent plug. I know for sure because I've known him for a while, years. And I know that he has been testing and said no to every other silent plug on the market. In fact, the GHS plugs that, not GHS, whatever the brand is that he uses, I forget what it's called, sent him silent plugs about a year ago, and he tested and he felt that they were too unreliable. And so even the company that he's using now, the stuff that they were sending him before, he did not like. They made some changes to it, and now he likes it. But I think it's kind of a CYA thing on that deal. I think they're pretty reliable, the ones he has. But when there is a mechanical piece built into it, and
That's not yours.
That's not yours.
Yeah.
You can't, if you didn't design that thing, it's tough. And you don't also, you can run an amp caster over the cable, but running an amp caster over that little tube that goes around that silent thing, you can't be responsible for everything.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So I understand why he does that. Personally, I don't use it. I have one silent cable, and I don't care. Like, this is another thing that I just don't. The popping doesn't hurt anything. It doesn't cause any problems. It doesn't do anything. The only time it may do something is if you're playing into an interface into the computer. Like that, I could see that being a situation. But, you just pull everything down first. I don't know. It's just a non-issue for me. He doesn't like them either. But it's one of those things that people wanted, and,
Ada, dear Dylan, can I use EMI filters because there is a lot of noise with the electricity provided by solar system? Are they useful?
I've not used them in that way, so I don't know.
Jerry J. Stone, what is your direction on volume bleed treble bypass? I'm a newbie to guitar circuits. Sounds cool, dude.
I am not a big treble bleed volume person because here's the way they work. As the resistance of the pot gets closer to zero, there's basically a backwards tone control. That resistor is a filter. The resistor and a capacitor combo is a filter that filters out low frequencies. Okay, so what it does is it's basically just scooping the bottom off of the frequency as it goes down in resistance towards zero when you turn the volume down. So you're not getting more highs. It's just scooping out everything on the bottom and making your guitar sound thinner. So some people really like that. I personally don't. I like the tone change that happens when I turn the volume down. I play like my junior back here. So this junior, when you turn the volume down a little bit, the mid-range punch and snarl from that P90 kind of smooths out, and it gives me a different sound. And I use that. I'm like, okay, it's almost like I have a different pickup, even though I don't. I like that because that gives me more versatility. Some people don't want that. But personally, I'm not a fan of those.
All right, last question. David Jarala, I don't know. David J wants to know, are pickups susceptible to solar flare type-ish?
I don't know.
That's fascinating, actually.
It is. I don't have.
There's websites. You can track them.
And I'm not sure that I have the right tinfoil to put on my hat.
I mean, if you needed tinfoil for your hat, you'd have to put it on all the time.
I'm kidding.
They happen all the time.
I don't know. I don't know. I don't.
Aurora wouldn't happen without sun flares.
Yeah, I know. It's true. I think that's going beyond what is practical.
Nice.
I don't know. I don't care about it that much.
All right. I don't know what to put up next. What time is it? Is
Oh.
it this bottom thing?
No, it's
thing?
it just says off topic right there.
Okay.
So,
It's 9 o'clock.
Yep. So we redid our off topic hour thing to just be right there. So here's how this works. It's off topic hour at 9 o'clock every Thursday. We do this the same way every Thursday.
It's not always an hour. It's just in this hour.
It's just starting at the hour
Could
of
be an
9
hour.
o'clock Eastern time. You can ask any question you want and we'll probably answer it. I don't think we've ever turned one down yet. If you ask a guitar question after 9 o'clock, it has to be in a super chat. If you ask a guitar question that is not in a super chat, we will ignore it. If that bothers you, show up earlier next week or join Patreon and ask your question and we will answer it like we did at the beginning of the show. The idea is we just hang out and we're friends with you.
I know this is
what we are.
almost guitar related, but speaking of hanging out, Jerry J. Stone just said, by the way, I was at the Texas Toast Building Comp last year. Cool to meet you guys. I had the feedback problem with the CB Giddy onboard distortion. I had a set of BC Rich 13K pickups in it. Do you remember that?
I do
issue?
remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
I do
I
remember that.
apologize. I don't remember.
I
But
do
thank you
remember
for
that.
saying that. We've
Yeah, that's
met.
cool.
I love that.
Yeah, I love it that we've actually met people. Cool. Off-topic questions. There are a couple over there.
All right.
Let's do
I
it.
haven't seen him tonight. Dr. Tim.
Oh, yeah, sorry. You'll have to lift
You
that.
messed me up. All right,
Sorry.
Dr. Tim. Were you guys safe from the crazy weather that went through hot Atlanta last night? We can't have the king of P90s getting blown away.
What if I was blown away by my own tone?
Ooh. So we were okay today.
Yeah.
A couple of days ago we had a hail.
Ooh,
it was
gnarly.
wild. But we had risk today. Like I woke up to, it's never fun to wake up to a tornado watch or
Yeah.
warning. But those are just never, you're like, oh, I guess we're having bad weather today. But no, it was fine today. A couple days ago, hail, but no damage. So
Yep.
we ain't been blown away yet.
Nope.
Ivan, hi, Dylan and co-host, insert name here. Oh, because it could be Brianna. I love
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
He already went to bed. Sorry, we missed him. He was probably watching the replay.
He's watching hockey. Anyway, go ahead.
I don't know. He has to go to bed pretty early.
He does. I'm going to watch hockey, though.
This could be after hours question. But does anyone know why UPS charge so much in fees to ship anything across borders?
I don't know, and that's why I don't use them. They make it harder to. You have to fill out a bunch of paperwork and stuff with anything over $100, and all of our stuff's over $100. So yeah, I don't use them. I use USPS.
How does that work if it's got to cross a border? If it's not the U.S. anymore?
It's kind of a crapshoot, depending on the country.
Really?
Yeah, it's hard.
I didn't know.
I mean, I've lost lots of stuff.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, not lots of stuff, but I mean, over the last 10 years, I've lost stuff.
I know Ivan's in Canada, so if anybody has any Canada thoughts, share them with Ivan.
Or suggestions
Insight
or
yeah.
shipping stuff.
Matt. Dylan, you've touched on your past physical injuries. What do you do to deal with pain management these days? As I expected, doctor just told me my back, hip, and knees have considerable arthritis for my age. That's what you get being a hockey goalie your whole life. I'm middle-aged and see pain only getting worse. Thanks for your input.
Goalies are absolutely some of the most amazing human beings ever, because I don't know how they could do it.
You just stand there and willingly take
Well, and the amount of gear that they have to wear,
How much
and
does it weigh?
it's a lot. It's a lot of gear, and they're still so fast. I mean, when you watch a NHL hockey goalie, the speed that they move at, it just blows my mind with the amount of stuff they have to wear. And their knees, just being like going down to the 5-hole stance all the time just blows my mind. So I use CBD and whatever other is available to me depending on where I am. I don't take pain pills. I had a bad experience for a few years with pain pills, so I stay off of those. And honestly, to be honest with you, I live with it a lot. I'm in pain right now all the time.
Yeah, 100% in pain all the time. But I think you also have gotten smarter with age about taking more breaks and moving. He cannot sit still for any length of time ever.
When we do these, this is the most time I sit still in the entire week.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is absolutely true. All right, that was it for what came in early.
Cool.
So let's just start going through. Ted Chuck. I'm a heavy hand with a ballpoint pen and guitar strings. What pen and nib would you recommend? Just bought a nice leather vintage looking journal for writing in.
Lamy Safari. It's durable. The nibs are relatively stiff. The pen is cheap. Under $30.
I will say too, I think you might not realize that your writing will change. I'm a heavy writer too, but you just can't be, or you'll poke through the paper.
True.
You just can't.
You'll just literally snag the paper.
And when you realize, like with a regular pen, you have to push down to make the ink contact with the paper, right? But this is literally like a flow, and you're just putting the ink down. Why am I talking about this?
Because
this is getting ridiculous.
Because you
Don't
are.
laugh. I relate to you, Ted.
Yeah.
But I also think you will be surprised.
Yes.
Anyway.
Yep.
I interrupted you. Did you have more thoughts?
And start with a medium nib. Don't start with a medium nib. Don't start with something super fine. Because that'll give you two things. A little durability. You won't dig the paper as much. Dig into the paper as much. It'll be smoother.
Yeah, it won't be scratchy.
It won't be scratchy.
Good paper is good too.
And a medium. Yes. One of my next videos is going to be paper. Because we are going to do a video about.
I thought he was lying.
Paper. Paper is you thought I was lying about quality of paper?
You're buying all this fancy. I'm this is ridiculous. He goes so all in every time you like something. And I was like, this is so ridiculous. But then you bought me a notebook and I was like, oh. Yeah. And now I have many notebooks.
Yeah. And every notebook is a little different. And inks interact with different notebooks and nibs interact with different notebooks. But a medium Lamy Safari is so silky smooth for $30. And it's very durable and it's stiff enough to put up with your heavy hand. And you'll learn immediately. The other thing it does, a medium nib on a Lamy Safari, is you'll learn that, if I lighten up a little bit, the line will actually get thinner. And you'll start to realize I'm literally just paper ink all over the paper. And as it'll give you that little bit of kind of feedback, not feedback feeling, but you'll be able to tell,
David Belcher wants to know 4-stroke or 2-stroke bike motors.
This is a tube amp digital thing for me. I always have a 2-stroke around, but ride 4 strokes in real life.
Chris Anderson said, any chance you plan an event with Chicago Music Exchange soon? Would be cool to meet you guys.
They don't even know who I am, so yeah. I would like to do those kind of things, but I just don't think we're big enough. I'm not.
We don't put stuff in stores, so
no,
it's not like we're vendors.
Right.
Yeah.
So they don't have any reason to want to collaborate with me on that kind of stuff. I'm not Rhett Shull. I'm not, Rob Chapman or any, I'm not any of those people, and we're not that big. So I would love to meet you. Don't get me wrong. That's not why I'm saying it. but I'm saying that we don't have that kind of.
If you were in the Chicago area,
We will be there.
we will be in Chicago this year.
Yes.
So maybe you should send Dylan a message.
Yeah. Send me a message if you're around Chicago, because we do come there on a regular basis. My grandparents.
Oh, we'll be going twice probably this year.
Yeah. My grandmother lives in Rockford.
Yep.
So we will be there. I actually have to go pick up a guitar.
I was going to say, we're going to be there twice, actually. Once this summer and once this fall. I forgot. Okay. Charles Wallace says, thanks for sharing your evening with us. Thank you for sharing
Thanks
your evening
for
with
sharing
us.
your evening with us, Charles.
Tom F. says, what made you guys go vegan, if you don't mind?
I just feel better.
Same. I tell people I eat selfishly. It's just how I feel. I feel the best this way. It was, I mean, originally it was to fix an issue, and it fixed an issue, and I was like, never going back.
Same with me. My doctor suggested it to try it for a month, and I was like, okay, that's that.
Yep, same. And it's, I don't even count anymore because I just don't think about it.
It's been since 2005 for me, so.
What year is it?
2024. Oh, so next year will be 20 years.
It's been 17 years for me.
Yeah.
That's wild. Let's see. Jason Albert. In the old cartoons, they would pull a little lever and suck the ink out of the inkwell. Can you do that with certain fountain pens?
Yes. There's actually called a lever fill, and it's a little fulcrum that when you pull the lever down, it pushes a little balloon inside they call it a sack, but a little latex sack inside the pen. It actually squeezes that, and then when you pull the lever back up, it lets it go, and it sucks ink up into the pen. So no, that cartoon is real. That's what it does. Yeah.
Jerry J. Stone says, my Toyota Yaris race car, LOL, atmospheric controls have been failing. I thought I got the right size lights, but the bases come in too large. Can you recommend a reliable dash light source?
I don't know.
That's very specific.
That is very
I don't know anything about Toyota Yaris.
I can't fit in one, so I'm not really sure.
Charles Wallace wants to know knife of the night.
Medford Smooth Criminal.
Now that song stuck in my head. Good job.
Yep.
Yeah, Ted says I'd probably be more into the paper than the pens the way I am. Yeah, if you want to get into paper, that'll probably help too.
So what's really fun about it is I think we're at the point, we were just talking about this today. Like, there's enough pens around here, like between her and me and Brianna, there's enough pens around here. But yeah, then you start experimenting with, because the pens are the most expensive part, but then they don't have to be, but they can be. And then once you get that far, then it's like trying notepads and inks. Like, inks are fun, man.
Yeah.
Inks can be really, really fun. Like, I mean, the pens that I've got inked up right here, I've got 4 different inks in these pens. Just
Yeah, every one of
it's
mine
fun.
has different ink.
It's just fun.
Like, why would I get two of
Yeah.
the same? I don't know
Exactly.
what I'm going to put in the one that's coming, though. I have to think about that. Something sparkly. Dog Dr. Tim says, when and where did you get your Galen folio? They are out of stock everywhere.
Galen leather from Turkey.
Yeah, we got them directly from
I got them directly from Galen.
And they will, a lot of times they say, like ours said they all say made to order, but they will have some in stock. And we got ours really fast.
Yeah, it's kind of like me. Basically, I was thinking about that when I ordered it, because it was like, everything's made to order. It'll take 2 to 3 weeks, which is what I tell everybody. But sometimes I get to ship the next day because of what we're doing. And that's what happened with us. It shipped like 2 days later, and we got it. They shipped FedEx from Istanbul, Turkey. And I ordered it on Sunday and got it on Thursday. I think.
And we got, all 3 of us got different colors, and we got them all really quick.
Yeah. So Galen leather from Turkey. That's where I would get it. Directly from them.
Jerry J. Stone says, is bigger balls for writing better if you are beginning? I don't know the nomenclature. Is the nib the ball I'm referring to?
So in a ballpoint pen, yes.
What's a roller ball?
A A rollerball is like a Pilot G2.
I mean, what is it? Is it literally
It
rolling
is-
like a mouse ball?
Yeah.
Oh.
And so is a ballpoint, but it's different.
Hmm.
They're different. The ink type is different.
Okay. Okay. Handle Jerry.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Ballpoints are oil.
Yes, I knew that.
They're oil.
Okay.
Okay, so yes, it's a little different. The technology is different because a fountain pen is not a ballpoint is a ball, like a ball bearing that rolls around, and as it rolls, it gets wet from the ink that's above it, and then it rolls onto the paper, and you have to like push it into the paper. A fountain pen works on surface tension of ink. And it's basically when the ink touches the paper draws the ink out of the pen. So it's a different way of doing it. And then the size of the nib gives you your line size. But there's a whole bunch too. It's really neat, actually.
Yeah.
The science behind it's really cool.
So you're also correct. So the ball is on a certain type of pen and nib is a fountain pen.
And actually, I tell most people if they ever want to get into it first, the very first time, buy a fine. Because if you buy a fine, like if you buy a Lamy Safari in a fine, the pen is like $23 on Amazon, link in the description. It comes with ink. You don't have to worry about it. And even if your paper is kind of crappy in comparison to, like good paper that is good for fountain pens, fines and extra fines will put up with that better. The pen that I carry in my pocket all the time, this is a fountain pen, and I carry this in my pocket all the time. And this is an extra fine. And I don't like actually writing with an extra fine a lot. But the reason I have it is because it'll write on receipts. It'll write on stupid forms at the doctor's office, like that kind of stuff with no problem.
Yep. Phil Grochel, is the $30 a bottle ink inherently better than the $10 a bottle ink, like what can be bought at big box craft stores?
Do not use craft store ink in your fountain pen. That is a different ink. So India ink and like calligraphy ink is a lot of times shellac based. Fountain pens are usually water based, and they are dye and pigment. A lot of that other stuff, if you put it in a fountain pen, it will jam it up immediately. It will not work. And it'll ruin a fountain pen. And some of those other inks too will actually burn a fountain pen. So like certain fountain pens, you can't use alcohol. You can't use, there's various stuff. It's just water-based dye, basically, is what most inks are in fountain pens. So use fountain pen ink. The thing about it is, yes, okay, it's $15 or whatever for a bottle. You don't have to spend that much. Like there's brands like Noodlers and brands like Diamine and brands.
Just get some sampler packs. It'll last you forever.
Yeah, get some. So hang on a second. This is a 5 milliliter sample that costs $3, and you can get like 3 pen fills out of this.
Yeah, and it's quality.
And it's good stuff. This is this is Waringal. This is from Waringal's from Korea, I think. Yeah. This is really good ink, and this was $3, and it'll fill your pen up 3 times. So it's not the most cost effective. The big bottles are more effective, and you'll pay $10 or $15 for a bottle of ink, but it'll last you a year. If you write with it every day, it'll last you a year. So it's not really that expensive. I have a whole drawer in my toolbox in there full of ink, like just different colors and fun stuff.
Jason Albert says, let's see. You do pickups, rock, now paper. What's next? Scissor, rock, paper, scissors.
Oh my God. I mean, we have knives. I do have a fancy pair of scissors that I got from Smithy Ironware.
Is that what those scissors are?
Those long ones with
Yeah,
the curve.
I didn't know that's
Those
where they
are
came from.
Smithy, yeah.
Charles Wallace says, if you pass close to North Kentucky, would love to share a meal again.
I'm sure that can be
Awesome.
arranged.
Chris Anderson said, I'm halfway between Chicago and Rockford. If you're out this way, would be cool to meet up and buy you a beverage.
Oh, dude. Then
That sounds perfect.
for sure. Yeah. No, just shoot me a message. Just shoot me an email. You can find my email most places. And yeah. That'd be
Eric
great. That'd be
Davis says they use a pilot cartridge and a Fisher space pen.
cool. Ooh. Yep. I have a Fisher space pen. You do too.
Jerry J. Stone says, I do finish work and I understand what you're talking about, drawing the ink down.
Yeah.
Rick Nelson says, I know you're not a Harley guy, but I recently inherited my dad's '09 Fat Bob. I never
Cool.
rode a day in my life. Do you know any starter upper type channels or where to learn to not die?
Yes. Go to your local Harley dealership.
Yeah.
Here, it's not that I don't like Harleys. I grew up in my motorcycle journey my entire life in a completely different culture. The one thing I will say about Harley people is that for you, in your situation, you could not be in a better place. If you go to your local Harley dealer and you tell them the story and you just say, look, man, I inherited this thing. I don't know anything and I want to ride. How do I learn? They will swarm you with Harley rider love. They really will. It's one of the best communities for teaching and learning and being a part of a thing. You will just go there and ask a question. Ask one question and they will be so willing to help you. So don't stress about that. No, that's the cool thing about Harley people is they will do that.
Yep.
Yep.
And they offer classes. Yeah.
Especially if you give them that story, you inherited it. Oh my gosh. They're really,
Yeah, which means it comes with a story anyway,
yes,
probably, right?
They're super values about those kinds of things. That will really be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mel Santiago says, have you tried Filipino food? If so, how do you find it? Regards from the Philippines. So chili crunch is my all-time favorite thing from the Philippines.
That jar of wet chili crunch stuff.
The dry stuff comes from Philippines.
Garlic, the chili garlic, though. It has garlic in it.
The Mike's chili crunch. The original stuff that got us hooked. That Vera gave me.
She's in the Philippines.
Yes.
If you know what, he's like, I can get that at the dollar store. If you know what that is,
You can get it on Amazon now, but
oh my
it's
God.
really
I love
good.
that stuff. Yes.
So
Not into like baby ducks. In
yeah,
eggs
no
or anything.
eggs. Yeah, I feel like
We don't eat
yeah.
animals.
I feel like what I know about food from the Philippines is always that extreme. Like
Yeah.
they want you to try the most extreme thing. So I'm not interested. But I could eat rice at every meal. I have that in common with people in the Philippines.
Yeah.
I am very thankful to our Philippine people. When we have retreat, there's always rice at every meal served
Oh, because they're there.
And I'm like, oh, this speaks to me.
I would be interested because I don't know anything about it.
I don't either. I remember Justin went and, so they took him around and they tried all these things. And it was an interesting story, but there was nothing he talked about that I would have eaten. So I would definitely need
We eat a
somebody to
plant-based
be
diet.
a little more friendly with me.
Yeah. So if you could give us like a meal or food
Yeah, I
or
would try
recipe
it.
suggestions that were plant-based, I would definitely try it.
Mm-hmm.
Because most Asian culture based foods
We like.
we love. So we eat a lot of Japanese food. We eat not as much Chinese food, mostly Japanese. A lot of Thai food.
Indian.
A lot of Indian food. So yeah, I would definitely be interested if there was a plant-based version of what you're talking about. I would want to know about it. And those chili flake things are really
Yeah. So hello from the Philippines. I actually have a really large group that I work with that work in the Philippines. They're in the Philippines. So
Yeah, and you like talk to them almost.
I mean, there's 2 people on my team that are in the Philippines.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
what's really, I mean, one works obviously her own. She works opposite shift from us. She has small children. But the newest person on our team adjusts his schedule so he can attend our team meetings. So it's just really nice to have that presence there and let him feel more part of the team than just like he has to watch a recording because we're working in different time zones, you know?
Yeah.
Because they're literally 12 hours, you know, like smack opposite us.
Oh, really?
Yeah. 12 hours ahead, right?
Yep. Yeah, it's tomorrow.
Yeah, they can tell me like how Friday's going so far.
Yep.
Yeah. How's Friday looking? Chris Anderson said Glock or Springfield Arms. I mean, Chris keeps saying things and I'm like, yes, we're definitely going to meet Chris.
I don't have a Glock. I have a Springfield. I don't like my Springfield. I will not. So
Ted said, Chris, you're trolling. You know he doesn't like Glock.
yeah, I have a Shadow Systems MR920, so that's as close as I get to a Glock.
I don't not like Glock. I just don't want to own one.
I just don't like the grip angle's weird, and I don't like there. I mean, you could get so much other cool stuff now for good money. Like you get so much better trigger for the same money or less. You know, that Canic right there is got an amazing trigger in it, and it's half the money of a Glock. Like I don't know. I just don't see the reason in it anymore. And
I mean, if you're gonna throw it on the ground and beat it up, maybe.
Yeah, but I mean,
the reliability, I think, is the thing that gets Glock people.
yeah, but everybody else is just almost as reliable now anyway. Honest Outlaw has been throwing stuff in his pond in his backyard in almost every video, and everything works.
I didn't know that. I haven't seen those.
Oh my God, it's great.
I haven't seen those.
Yeah, he puts it on a string, ties it behind his truck, drives down the street. Like, I mean, all that stuff. Mud kills everything.
Chris said, "Ha, same." Dom D said, "If the question is Glock versus Springfield, I choose HK."
Amen. I really want a VP9 and I don't have one.
Phil Grochel said, "I want a Springfield 1911."
That new the new one that just came out is really cool. I don't have a 1911. I really want one. I'm like kind of on a spending freeze right now because we just moved into this house and we had to remodel a bunch of stuff, and and I wasn't planning on buying the laser, and then the deal came up and I had to take it. And then, of course,
he was literally on a plane.
Yeah, I was on a plane and I was like, oh, crap, I should text message him and see how much he wants for this thing. And it was a deal I couldn't pass up.
I agree.
And then, of course, it was like, then I had to pay a mover to get it moved here. And then we had to like remodel the garage and get it all set up for that. And all. So it was, I got a good deal on the laser. But then, of course, it turned into a whole bunch of other spending that I wasn't really planning on, and it's not making money for me yet. So I'm in this spot right now where I'm just like, okay, no more fountain pens, no more guns. The knife show is in Atlanta in a month, and I need to save up some money for that, so that can be fun.
We need to make plans, or you're not going to the knife show.
Oh yeah, we do need to talk about that.
We have to go to a wedding the same weekend.
Actually, the owner of Runway Audio is getting married that same weekend.
So if you doubt that we're friends with people, we're going to his wedding.
Yeah, we're going to the owner of Runway Audio's wedding. Austin.
We are friends.
Yeah, we are very good friends with him. Yep.
These people, like, I don't pay attention, I think, when you talk about this stuff. So it just surprises me when everybody's like showing up talking about these things. Anyway.
About what?
I'm getting there.
Okay.
Jason Albert said, Dylan and Leslie, you guys are quite itchy or edgy this evening. I'm edgy myself this evening. I keep changing seats. I didn't notice that we were. You always are. Mine could be the caffeine I just drank.
Oh. Mine is the weather, and I am in a lot of pain.
Are you?
Yeah. I'm in a lot of pain right now. It's that
I don't ever sit formally, so if I have to sit, there's no fun way to sit in the seat.
No,
so if I
these
have to
seats
sit
are
formally, I'm very uncomfortable.
These are like high back bar stools, and we don't sit. I mean, I have a leg up over an arm,
I'm
and
not a sitter. I'm
we're
like a lounger. I'm gonna get in something.
yeah. When you come over, if you ever to come over to our house, there's no sitting. It's like, yeah, throw a leg up over the side or like whatever. Like we're gonna be super informal, and so sitting here like this is not. And my back, I am really in pain tonight, so that's why I'm struggling. It's the weather because we've had these thunderstorms coming in and out over the last few days, and the barometric pressure really messes with me bad.
Tom F said I would take a new Bren rifle. Jerry J. Stone, my first rifle was a Swedish Mauser 6.5 by 55. I don't think you could miss with it. The mechanics were so smooth. Ever
so
shoot
cool.
anything like that?
Yeah, that's really cool. No, that stuff's neat.
Have you? You have?
Yeah, oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ted says trivia. The M1911A was invented to put down Filipino Huck rebels.
Yep.
Charles B. HK for the win with polymer frames. Colt Springfield for steel frames. LOL.
You know, I really want a VP30 with, or a VP9 or a P30. I want a P30 with that goofy compensator thing just because John Wick. And I really want a VP9. And I've been meaning to buy one because Palmetto State Armory has been having the non-optics ones. And I think Battlehawk Armory has had the non-optics ones on sale for like $449 or $499 or something for a VP9. And I want that weird European safety. And I don't have an HK on the wall, so I really like one. But I just keep meaning to do it, and I don't know why I haven't done it. I guess because I've been buying fountain pens and other crap and lasers.
So this is probably the
Laser
comment
beams.
that made me like, oh, I didn't know this. Dog Dr. Tim said, my Glock 43X for concealed carry fits my big hand well, but I know there are better things out there.
Oh, yeah.
I thought I wanted a 43X.
You did. Thought you want one.
But I don't have big hands.
No.
Oh, it does have a longer grip. That's why.
It does.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought I wanted a 43X because of the customizable things about it, but then I held one.
Yeah.
Dom,
If you want to try something modern, Tim, try a SIG X macro. You would really like it. Try a SIG X macro. Longer grip, 17 rounds. Really.
That's another
really
reason not to have Glock. Like, who wants such a small amount of rounds in a magazine?
compact in a yeah. That Shadow is 15, but that's a Glock 19 size, so that's big.
It's big, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But still, smaller. They still have more. 17.
Yeah.
Anyway. My Dom D says my EDC is a VP9SK.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Right on.
Tom F. Dylan, I want to try a ED Brown 1911.
Oh, Ed Brown. Yeah.
Oh, Ed Brown. Sorry, I read it as letters.
I want an Ed Brown. I'd have an Ed Brown.
Hogman Hawk says, I still want a Walther PPK.
Me too. That's another one that I'm like, I want one, but there's so many other things in the world that I would actually use. You know, you've heard me say this on the channel before that I like to use everything that I have. And a Walther PPK is like, it's to say you have it more than actually use it. And it's really low on the priority list. I really want one though. So it's not low on the priority list, but it kind of is. Because James Bond. Duh.
Dr. Tim says, from what I saw of a pickup bobbin on Patreon, I will help you with the payoff on that laser. It needs to pay for itself.
It needs to pay for itself. And in the next 2 weeks or so, we are going to, I know this is guitar radio, but in the next 2 weeks or so, we are going to have flat work available, magnets available, and we are going to have Lizard Spit products available. I just made the order today. I will have the product Saturday. So by next week, we will have Lizard Spit back on the website like we used to.
Chris Anderson said, "Is Kimber the PRS of pistols?"
Kinda. It's funny. I really want a Kimber just to get one. I was looking at them again last night. And I really want one. I was gonna buy a KDS 9C, and then I went and held one in person, and the thing feels like crap. The grip is overinflated. It's like all round and bulbous feeling. It's weird. So maybe I don't know. Maybe I'll get an Ultra 2 or something. I'm not really sure. Maybe a Rapide Dawn with the gold barrel. I like bougie stuff. Everything I have over there is super bougie and weird. The most normal thing I have over there, I think, is I have a Walter PDP over there that's just like a black gun. But everything else over there is...
I'm not judging you on the
bougie
bougie
stuff.
part because I have one, but
it's
one.
real bougie.
But it's one.
Yeah, but it's real bougie.
But it's one.
It's real bougie, though.
It's one.
And not to mention, you have a knife to match and a pen to match and a
You are supplying this habit. Might I add?
And you have a sweatshirt to match, and you have a...
No, I'm trying to sell that. It doesn't fit.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah. So she has a Sig Rose 365, the Lena Michalek signature. So she has like all the Rose stuff, which is cool. I think it's awesome.
It is awesome.
It's fun.
Jerry J. Stone says, "You guys set up an informal video area. Take it easy."
We may do that. We may change it up a little bit because it is a little formal.
Charles B. says, "I can barely walk this past 2 weeks in Canada because of the weather. My spine is screwed from a couple wrecks."
Yeah, mine too.
So Mel Santiago says, "We Filipinos have many plant-based meals, such as long beans, mung beans, and its sprouts, bitter gourd, squash, to name a few. I'm plant-based myself." I am very curious about the bitter stuff. I hear about that a lot.
Mm-hmm.
So there is really good health properties to like Filipino bitter food. I know that. But I also think I wouldn't like it.
So, do you think the place over by El Rey has Filipino stuff?
We should look. There's some stuff I
should
want right now anyway, so I would love to go there.
We have a few very good Asian grocery stores here that, of course, have lots of Chinese and Japanese stuff. I don't know specifically about the Filipino side, but I would be very interested to go look with that goal in mind. Like, I want to know. I really do want to know.
We should just look up some recipes and then we could look to see what they have
We've used mung bean based stuff before, and it's great.
I like mung beans. Sprouts of all kind are usually. I don't know what a long bean is. And the bitter, I'm
interested.
Yeah.
Definitely interested.
Hawkman Hawk says, "My wife has the Glock 43.
Mm-hmm. That's a popular one.
Norseman 61 says, "Do any of you do calligraphy?"
You just bought a calligraphy pen, didn't you?
Yeah, so I used to have a whole calligraphy set. Like I used to be really good at it. And I
Really?
think that's why I still write a certain way.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't done it in years. But I did just buy a calligraphy tip pen because I want to try it.
Yep.
So
Brianna-
not yet.
Brianna has some pretty wide stuff too that works.
I think she uses her for drawing though, right?
Uh-huh. She sketches
Yeah.
and draws.
Neither one of them have really great handwriting, but
I'm trying to.
I could do calligraphy.
I'm interested to see that and understand it. I want to have really cool, fancy handwriting.
Do you?
I really do. Yeah. No, I really do. But I'm left-handed, and so it changes everything, like all the angles.
You
and
should
stuff.
see. Okay, so
Because I've sat down and
sign
done
tangent.
like all the drills and like all
There
the swoopy drills
is-
and stuff, and it's hard.
Ancestry.
Uh-huh.
I was looking at like there's this one person in my tree who like wrote
Ancestry nerd.
all these wills out, but you can tell she was left-handed, but her handwriting was phenomenal. Like phenomenal. But you can tell she was left-handed because of the slant of how she wrote, but it's really pretty. It's like the prettiest left-handed writing I've ever seen. Dom D says, Dylan, you'd love shooting my custom 2011s. Triggers on them are like 15 ounces and no take up and a nice clean break. If I don't warn people, it kind of surprises them on the first shot.
So
That means
I
you shoot
want
better,
a
I bet.
2011 so bad. That's gonna probably be my next gun when I get around. Well, I don't know. I've got an AR receiver sitting there that needs to be built, but I really, 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 really want a 2011, and I don't know what to buy. I'm not saying I don't know what to buy. I really want a Staccato XC. I mean, if I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. But then you're like, okay, if you're at that money, then why don't you just go a little more and get like a double stack Nighthawk? Like you might as well just go crazy. So I don't know, like in rose gold, exactly. Yeah, she saw a Nighthawk in rose gold and she's like, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, I hated that he put it in my hand because I already knew how much it was. I was like, please don't. I don't need to touch it. And I touched it and I was like, oh, I want it.
Yeah, it was pretty sick. Yeah, I really want a 2011 really bad. And that's next on my list. You talk about a good trigger. I do have a CZ Shadow 2, which is really, really fun. And yeah, it's one of those guns that just surprises you every time you pull the trigger. It's really great. But yeah, I want a 2011 really bad.
Charles B. Love shooting the Springfield XD USP Compact and the HK45. Just amazing pistols.
I have an XD. Yep.
Jerry J. Stone. I wish I had one of the 500 that were made for the contract in 45 caliber. Dog Dr. Tim says, when I was stationed in Germany in the late 80s, they were selling PPKs like hotcakes.
Yeah, you used to be able to get them for like $300, and now you cannot. You cannot.
Ion Hunter says, no Dragonov. I don't know what that is.
So, there is a website, you probably already know about it, called Atlantic Firearms, and they have a bunch of that crazy stuff come in and out, like because they import stuff, and it comes in and out. That would be really interesting to have. I have a goal. So, what you might not be able to see it in this room, but I have a real fascination with world history, and so the goal for this room is actually to be sort of like a museum and go in order. Kind of, I guess this way. I want to start on this side with like ancient armor, like all the way back to like when the Jews left Egypt, like kind of like Bible land sort of armor, scimitars and stuff like that, blades, and go this way, and then come down here to medieval stuff, and then you probably haven't seen it because I haven't showed it, but my last name is Scottish. I got a full size proper Scottish claymore. It's like 5 pounds. It's over there, and then over on this wall. You can't see it because we try not to show this stuff too much on YouTube, but on this wall is all my firearms. And I have, what I really want to do is I want to collect all the battle rifles of the world, more or less, kind of like, and the pistols too. So sort of like, not real accurate, but kind of, obviously I have ARs, AK, Galil, I have a PTR G3 up there. I'd like to get all of those things, and M1 Garand, a couple of they don't even have to be the real thing old, like, the PTR is a reproduction. I just think it's really neat. I just kind of want to have a whole museum in here of the history of the world, kind of. That's kind of my goal. So when you mention a Dragunov, I really would like, and I really am into Cold War stuff. So Eastern European stuff especially is really hard to get. And I even have like a Soviet era fountain pen in there in my office that I use every day. When I print out your order on the label machine, you order something from me, I print out the label and I print it out and I say, he's getting 3 Strat pickups. And I rate 3 Strat pickups on the back of this label. And because I'm pulling parts and I'm doing whatever, I use a Soviet era fountain pen for that. I have a North Korean fountain pen over here. Sarge sent me a bunch of stuff from Ukrainian soldiers that he met in the Gulf War. We have some cameras over here that are Korean War era from Japan. Like I have all kinds of fun stuff. I think it's really neat. World history is really cool. So anyway, long tangent to say I really want to drag it off.
Dog Dr. Tim says, you'd be surprised the bitter Asian food I've tried. I loved mung beans rock. He also said the glass pen in my recently acquired calligraphy set is sublime. I didn't get a glass pen, but I did.
Brianna has one.
Yeah, but I did get a calligraphy pen. Chris Thompson said, do you have a good maker space close to where you live? Where did you learn how to operate the laser?
I bought my laser from a makerspace.
Yep.
It's kind of funny. So when we first started Dylan Talks Tone 10 years ago, I was actually
longer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Almost 11. I was a member of this local makerspace, and it was a business incubator deal and whatever. In fact, the guy that owns that, it was just him and his partner, owned it at the time. It was just a little thing. He's the one that came up with my logo because he was like, well, what's it going to be called? And I said, it's going to be called Dylan Pickups. And he's like, well, write your name on a piece of paper. And I wrote my name and he's like, there's your logo. So that's how it came up. Anyway.
I thought Chris did that.
It was Eric.
Oh.
They had this laser in their makerspace. And what happened was they're renting this building, right? And it's this fancy building in this new cyber center that they built.
Yep.
And because we're next to this military base, so there's all these contractors, all this stuff. So anyway, big cyber.
We're like the cyber center of the country or something.
Yeah, for the military. So
for everybody, I think.
Yeah. So anyway, they had this laser, 80 watt, super sweet, water cooled, whole thing, had all this stuff. Like $8,000 setup. And every time they used it, it would screw up the ventilation system in the building. And so the building that they were renting from said that they couldn't use it anymore. So I bought it from them. So yeah, I got it from the makerspace. But that's how I'm learning. My brother knows CAD. He's helping me out with some stuff. I've got another buddy that runs he's starting a 3D printing business. And so he's been helping me with some stuff. So just learning it. I'm literally struggling through it every day, but I'm learning it.
He's having fun though.
Yeah, that's great, man.
Dave L. I very much enjoy my SIG P226 Legion SAO. Jerry J. Stone says, I love rose gold. Hard to let go. Ted says, oh, my handwriting isn't cursive. In fact, it's kind of all caps. I don't use lowercase letters printed, just smaller capitals. Does that mess up fountain pens at all?
No.
Do they prefer cursive?
I print.
Yeah, I think there's actually somebody we watch on YouTube all the time. He is very much all caps all the time.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It'll do whatever you want it to do. F. Stathios says, when I was in the Greek army, my main rifle was the HK G3, A3 or A4. It had the reputation of being the most unreliable and inaccurate gun. Do you think there is any merit to this stereotype?
So mine's a 308. So mine's a 16-inch 308, and it is a sledgehammer of a gun. So I don't necessarily know how accurate it is. I've only gotten to shoot it out to 200 yards, and I'm pretty accurate with it. But man, it's gnarly. It's so fun though. I'm gonna tell you the honest truth. I never cared about this, about the PTR, about the HKG3. And then I was hanging out with Matt from Texas Toast, and he's got like 5 of them. And he's like, dude, you have to buy one of these. Me and him, it was during a class. No lie, it was during a guitar class. Chris is helping people with frets or something. And me and him are, he has a desk like this with my laptop is here and his laptop is here. And we're sitting around and he's like, dude, this is what you need right here. He's like, Atlantic Firearms, you need to buy one of these. And I'm like, okay. And I just ordered it. And it was like, every time I hang out with Matt, I end up buying crap.
They are bad.
We are really bad for each other. He'll text me sometimes and he's like, how bad do you think I need X or Y or whatever, you know? Yeah. We're bad for each other for sure.
Charles B said, a friend of mine took me shooting his German MG42. The buzzsaw puts the biggest smile on your face. Yeah. Tom F says, I got a cool left-hand eject Walter that makes people at the range go WTH.
Oh, yeah, because it's left-handed. Yeah, that's neat. That's my problem, even like shooting an AR, because I'm left-handed and it's ejecting across my face. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Jim Cox says, I need to get into the modern world and get an RMR-equipped handgun.
All of mine have optics. I have, I don't know, half a dozen, 6 or 7, and they all have optics. The only one that doesn't is my Shadow 2.
Jerry J. Stone says, hey, brother, I am by heritage related. We are McGregor descendants.
Oh, interesting. That's cool.
David Belcher says, I appreciate that you guys support firearms culture.
You know, I should say, I try not to get super political with stuff. It's just not my nature to do that. Let me tell you. So I have a lazy eye. You've probably seen it in videos. And I've surgically had it done like a few times. This is a little tangent on the 2A thing, but I'll get back to it. And I'm not good at anything. I'm not good at tennis. I can't play tennis. I can't play volleyball. I can't play basketball because I have this terrible depth perception problem. Anything within about 6 feet is really difficult for me. Now I can ride a dirt bike. I can do things that are further away because I've learned to compensate for it. But the one thing that I can do, and I do not suck at it, is shoot a pistol or shoot a rifle. I can shoot because it only takes one eye. And so I've just naturally been very interested in firearms for a very long time because it's the one thing with my disability that I have that I am very good at. I'm way better shooter than I'm a guitar player. And so it's just been a thing. And of course, as you know, I'm such a nerd about so many things. The engineering of it, like, and the math and calculating dope at 400 yards with a whatever, like that is so fun to me. Like, I just love that stuff. So it's not necessarily, I don't want to ever give the impression that I'm a, very, I don't like to, a lot of people don't like the fact that I like firearms. And I'm not going to subscribe to you anymore and whatever. Man, don't ever take it like that. It's just something I just really, really enjoy. It's just, I really, and I don't make enemies with people over things. If you don't like something and I do, or vice versa. If you like something that I don't like, I'm not going to make an enemy out of you over it or, anything like that. We're all friends. And we all are into different stuff. So I just want to say that because sometimes people get really, what's the word? As far as the activism side of it, and it's. I don't want to be off-putting to people. It's just a thing that I very much enjoy.
I've never heard you encourage somebody, though. Like, you're not trying to give somebody your habit. Like,
no.
I don't think it's activism.
No, and it's not any of my habits are like that. Like I'll never encourage somebody.
Unless you live in his house, then he just buys you things.
Yes. That's just because I love buying you and I love buying the kids things, and that's the generosity side of it. That has nothing to do with anything other than that. But like, I love motorcycles more than anything in the world. If I could pick one thing and have to give up the rest of it, it would be motorcycles. but I will never encourage someone to ride one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's something that's me. It's about me. It's not about other people when it comes to that.
Jerry J. Stone says, laser question. Seriously, not a guitar question. Would one be able to laser out a forward plate with holes built on for the penetration of rods and a secondary structure behind with copper fully shielded?
Yes. If you're talking about making pickup flat work, yeah, we're getting full on into that business. That's funny.
So Chris Anderson said email sent to the only email I've found in a quick Google search. So hopefully you get it. So you might want to check that while he's still here.
Okay, cool.
Dave L
I got
says, join late here. What's in the glass tonight? Mine's empty.
Mine was just. Oh, speaking of
What's in the glass tonight? Drinking cheap here tonight. Sipping some Knob Creek 9-year. So mine was cold brew coffee and salted caramel whiskey.
whatever the what's this
Avion.
Reposado tequila. Chris, I did get your email. I will send you back an email when I get done here, just so that we're on it. Saturday, I will be getting my lizard spit shipment. I just got an email from FedEx. So that's cool. Yeah, dude, it's almost 10 o'clock.
Yep. F. Stafio says everyone should live at Dylan's house for a while. He would buy us things.
You know, I was literally sitting here this morning journaling, thinking like, I am so grateful for this whole crowd, for all of you, for our kids are good. You're awesome. Like, things are good. And if you're around, I just want to spread that to other people. Like, that's what it's about. Spreading it around so other people have it too. So yeah, I probably would.
Norseman 61 said, I've heard that left-handed ink is expensive. If somebody's marketing as left-handed ink, it probably would be expensive. Yeah, it's late. People are like, dude, I'm old.
All right. Well, this has been great. You're going to get a video tomorrow. I'm going to solder a pickguard together tomorrow.
Ooh.
Yep.
Awesome. Well, this was fun.
Thanks for hanging out, everybody. I appreciate the off-topic time. Thanks for being cool. This has been really great. See you tomorrow.